All right, real quick, a conversation about something that I know hits home for everybody. I know it does for me, and that revolves around the idea of a trigger. What's your trigger that sets you off? What's the thing that gets said? What's the thing that happens to you? What's the event that takes place that sets you off? And I know for myself, my trigger is when I don't feel like I'm being respected by someone. I have a tendency to fight back at that point, and not in a healthy way either. I will get aggressive. I will withdraw. I will get so focused on that one thing that everything else that's important around me, my family, my work, all that kind of stuff just goes to the wayside. I will just chew that thing to death on there. So I know that a respect thing for me is a trigger that sets me off on there. So what I've done, and this is what I will tell you to do. First thing is an awareness. You have to understand your triggers. So start to look at it. Like when you get that visceral feeling of like, I'm upset, I'm pissed, I'm depressed, I'm sad, you get what I'm saying? You kind of fall off the wagon a little bit. Like, what is it that sets that thing off? Because I guarantee it's either one or two things that you'll be able to isolate yours down to that's your trigger on there. So once you know that, now all of a sudden you got to get intentional with how you respond to that trigger. So when I feel it, my first thing is I got to take a breath. I got to take a break. I got to pause, because if I don't, my next reaction is going to be one that's not healthy in any capacity for myself or for other people. I will go off at that point when my trigger comes off. So my ability to recognize trigger's been hit, pause for a second. Now I've got to digest versus reacting. I'm going to digest and actually respond in a way that's more productive. And my response might be absolutely nothing. I may just completely shut my mouth, completely turn myself off, not in an avoidance manner, but I'm just not going to let that consume me at that point in time. I may write down how I feel so I can go back and revisit it once that visceral emotional response is gone. So I'm intentional with that. So once I've recognized it, I see it, feel it go off. And for me, like I said, I got to write these things down, or I got to talk to somebody else who's not emotionally engaged with it so I can process that as well too. Now all of a sudden, I got data. I've got information. I'm not just functioning strictly off an emotional charge right now. Like, I'm logical with it. There's emotion still. I don't like it, but I got logic to it now. I put those pieces together. My solution or my response now is that much greater and that much more productive. So again, first step, you got to understand what your trigger is. Second step, you got to get intentional with that next step, that instantaneous next, again, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, hour, even in some cases on there. I am intentional in the fact I don't pick up the phone. I don't send a text message. I don't send an email. I don't confront that person. I need to take a step back on there so I can figure out how it is I actually want to respond versus that reactionary gut instinct crap that never works out well. Because I guarantee you, I've done it hundreds of times, and I've learned through a lot of trial and error of how I need to respond to that. So again, trigger, be aware of it. Intentional with how you're going to respond. Start there.